Hi, class. Today we are going to be starting chapter 3 about logic. I have shared with you the book content, so it starts on page 103. So I'm going to read a little bit to you and then we'll move on with the lesson. It says, "We are inundated with arguments that attempt to convince us a variety of claims. P.T. Barnum, co-founder of the circus called The Greatest Show on Earth, shamelessly engaged in the art of ballyhoo and humbug, feeding the public bona fide baloney with no truth in it. His philosophy: there's a sucker born every minute. Logic is a kind of self-defense to avoid being suckered in by the Barnums of the world. It will enable you to apply deductive reasoning to arrive at valid conclusions in complicated situations and to avoid being fooled into believing things for which sufficient reasons are available. The rules of logic will help you to evaluate the vast array of claims facing you as a consumer, a citizen, a student, and a human being. Understanding logic will also allow you to construct better and more convincing arguments on your own, thereby becoming a more efficient advocate for your beliefs." On the next page, 104, it says, "History is filled with bad predictions. Here are some examples of statements that turned out to be notoriously false. The actual building of roads devoted to motor cars will not occur in the future." That was said at Harper's Weekly in 1902. And of course, everybody knows today that's all we get around on is roads dedicated to motor cars. The next one says, "Everything that can be invented has been invented." And that was said back in 1899 from the commissioner at the U.S. Patents Office. And that just amazes me that how many things, or they thought, someone thought back then that nothing else could be invented. The abdomen, the chest, and the brain will forever be shut from the intrusion of the wise and humane surgeon. Said in 1873, they never thought that anybody would be able to have surgery on their brain or heart and live through it. How about this one? "Television won't be able to hold on to a market. People will soon get tired of staring at a plywood box every night." Television itself has changed over the years, but you guys carry one around with you in your back pockets all the time now. "Whatever happens in Vietnam, I can conceive of nothing except military victory." That was said by Lyndon B. Johnson in 1967. And then this one, "When the president does it, that means that it's not illegal." So that was said by Richard Nixon in 1977. Anyway, understanding these statements are false enables us to negate each statement mentally and with the assistance of historical perspective. Obtain a true statement. We begin our study of logic by looking at statements and their negations. In everyday English, we may use many different kinds of sentences. Some of these sentences are clearly true or false. Others are opinions, questions, and exclamations such as "help" or "fire." However, in logic, we are concerned solely with statements, and not all English sentences are statements. And so, first, you need to on your notes there, what is a statement? And a statement is a sentence that is either true or false, but not both simultaneously or at the same time. So this first one talks about Nashville is the capital of Tennessee. That's just a statement. I don't care if it's true or false at this time. We're just trying to decide, is it a statement, yes or no? The next one, Dr. Seuss wrote Romeo and Juliet. Statement. Today is Monday. Statement. Okay, so what kind of things are not statements? Questions, commands, and opinions are not statements. So if I told you that applied math is the coolest class at CHS, that's an opinion. Therefore, I think it's true, but somebody else might think it's false, and so it can't be that at the same time. Go make my dinner. That's a command. Again, you can't say if that was true or if it were false. And how about why is UT so bad at football? Again, this one's a question, and so there's no true or false validity to either one of those. All right, the next part of this is negation, and the negation of a statement has a meaning that is opposite that of the original meaning. So if this says Lake Erie is one of the Great Lakes and I want to negate it, then I simply am going to say Lake Erie is not one of the Great Lakes. So I didn't change any words. I just changed it from yes it is to no it is not. Same thing here. Center Hill is one of the Great Lakes. Again, true or false does not matter. But it says is one, and now Center Hill is not one. So that changes it. All right, I need you to look over here, and this P and this Q are notation. So since there's so much English and writing in what we've got going on here, instead of writing the sentence every time, we can simply say P is going to be the variable that represents this statement. Q is going to be the variable that represents this statement. And so what we see right here in front of this P is called a tilde. In class, we may call it a squiggly or whatever, but it is the notation that negates. So when Lake Erie is not one of the Great Lakes, we want to symbolize that with a tilde in front of the statement P, which was Lake Erie is one of the Great States. Okay, so that's our symbol notation. So let's look at example 1 here. It says Shakespeare wrote the television series Modern Family, and today is not Monday. So if we want to come down here and form the negation, Shakespeare wrote, we're just going to simply say Shakespeare did not write the television series. Okay, here is another way you might see it. It is not true that Shakespeare wrote the television series Modern Family. So this is, the first one is the way we would probably actually speak in a conversation. This second way is just another way that actually works. All right, and then today is not Monday, so here it is again. It is not true that today is not Monday, or we can simply say today is Monday. Okay, that's the negation by taking out the word not. All right, so if you'll pause your video and try checkpoint 1, it's at the top of page 106, and then push play again and you'll hear the rest of this. So checkpoint 1 says Paris is the capital of Spain, and you would simply say Paris is not the capital of Spain. And then the B part says July is not a month, and you would negate that by taking out not and saying July is a month. Okay? All right, let's try number 2. Example 2 here says that statement P is Shakespeare wrote the television series Modern Family again, and Q is today is not Monday. And so this says write symbolically Shakespeare did not write. So we're going to simply put tilde P for that one. And then Q statement, today is not Monday, and therefore you're going to say today is Monday with a tilde Q. All right. And then the other part of this is, yay, it's great that we actually have a shortcut, but what if we were given the shortcut and we needed to write the actual sentence here? I'm sorry. Here, you guys are going to do checkpoint 2. Pause your video and then come back. So P says Paris is the capital of Spain. Q says July is not a month. So if you were going to write these symbolically, Paris is not the capital of Spain. Tilde P. July is a month, opposite of this one. Simply tilde Q. Okay. So now what if we were given the symbols and we had to write the words? If you look at checkpoint 3, it's at the very bottom of page 106. It says Chicago O'Hare is the world's busiest airport. That is Q. Then it says express the symbolic statement tilde Q in words. So we're simply going to say Chicago O'Hare is not the world's busiest airport. And so that was taking those symbols and writing the words out. Okay, so that's the basics of what's a statement, what's not a statement, and then how to negate it. And this part is a little more difficult to understand sometimes, but I'm giving you the tables, and I want you to pay attention to the tables and mimic the tables. This is a very small portion of the whole chapter, and so if we can just be able to mimic the tables, I'm not real worried about you having to come up with sentences all on your own. Okay, so what is a quantified statement? Quantifiers are words such as all, some, none, no one, see, every. Those are some words that you would see, and because they're quantifiers, if you said all, if I did all my homework, that means I completed everything that was given to me for homework. I didn't leave anything blank. If I said I did some of my homework, that actually is, some could mean very little, some could mean a whole lot, some could mean half. So these are words that are all maybe not so much hard to understand, but some is very vague. And so your interpretation, if somebody were to say that to you, would be maybe not the exact same as what they were trying to convey. And then no or none would be a 0% of whatever you're talking about. So this table here goes through and wants you to look. A and B are variables, and you can put in whatever part of sentences that you want here. But an equivalent way to say it is just going to have the same meaning. So if this statement were true, this is another way to say that statement. So it says all poets are writers. There are no poets that are not writers. Those have the same equivalent meaning. No common colds are fatal. All common colds are not fatal. Okay, so again, same meaning there. And some students do not work hard. Not all students work hard. So those are equivalent statements. And then we have negation of those statements. And number 5 there on your note says, how do you negate a quantified statement? And there's a study tip on page 108 that says, all A, R, B, and then it's got an arrow down. It says some A, R, not B. And then there's another part of it that does this. And really all it's showing you is that this one and this one are negations of each other, and some and no or none are negations of each other. And so when you look at that's what we're looking at. So again, we're going to mimic these tables and try not to stress too much over all this. Okay, so the last one then is this one. It says, the mechanic told me that all piston rings were replaced. So when I hear that as a customer, I'm saying he took out all the old ones and put in all different ones replaced. And later I learned that the mechanic never tells the truth. So what can I conclude? Well, if they all weren't replaced, then I'm going to say that some of the pistons were not replaced. And there's that negation on the chart. So some pistons were not replaced, because some means at least one. Okay. So you guys try checkpoint 4. It's at the bottom of page 108. So if you want to pause this and come back. All right, number 4 says all new tax dollars will be used to improve education. I later learned that the Board of Supervisors never tells the truth, so what can I conclude? And then it says express it in 2 equivalent ways. So one would be at least one new tax dollar will not be used to improve education. So if all the tax dollars are not going there, then there's one that's going somewhere else. You could also say something like some new tax dollars will not be used to improve education. Some new tax dollars will be, some of the new tax dollars will be used to improve education. So again, a couple different ways that we can say that. But we just mimicked the chart. All right, so that's some of our basics on statements. So your assignment is going to be page 109, number 1 through 46 evens, or 2 through 46 evens on section 3.1. And I'll talk to you all later.